That's the problem with laws, right? When you're relying on other human beings to interpret them. Well, this judge is basically saying that it's constitutional to not have any reasonable grounds or suspicion to pull people over, to demand them that they provide, whether it's a blood sample or a saliva sample, with absolutely no suspicion. Now, of course, any judge 50 years ago would have never said any such stupidity because they would have recognized, of course, it's unconstitutional. But the reason why this judge, once again, folks, the reason why these judges are willing to fucking go completely against and deny our rights, our inherent inalienable rights, is because they recognize, just like the political class and the media class, is Canadians are allowing them to do so with barely a whimper, without anyone being willing to stand up in defense or defiance of this shit. So the more people lay down, the more you think that you just want to go along to get along, the more you don't want to rock the boat, the more complacent you become, the more tyrannical the oppressors are becoming. So like I say, at some point in time, and just like with you go back to the old saying of, well, first they came for. Yeah, you're damn right the government's going to come after me, might come after Matt, but eventually they will come for you. And think about this. Even if you don't give a shit if they ever take me or Matt out, well, once you've taken out the strongest, because they go after the strongest people first. They go after the bravest, the boldest, right, and the strongest, right? The most defiant. Those are who get knocked out first. But if you think about that in terms of hierarchy, if you're at the fucking bottom end of that, if you're one of those people that's cowardly and conformist, much more than the rest of your peers, they're going to come after you last. And when they come for you, there's none of those strong people left. So you have zero chance whatever of escaping that kind of oppression or that kind of tyranny, because you allowed the strong people, the ones that have the voices, the ones who are vocal at times like this in the beginning, is once you lost those voices, well, like I say, you're the one that's going to suffer at the end. And trust me, whether you're on the front of that line or at the end, we're all going to suffer eventually. So yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so we have Fauci at the time, all these health officials, the WHO and all these people telling us, you got this deadly disease, and the best way to help fix it is by wear a mask, keep your distance, don't go in large crowds, social distance, and, personal hygiene. Okay. And it comes out of Wuhan, the epicenter. And then literally my father, if you can Google right now, just type in pool party Wuhan. And this was literally just 2-3 days ago. And you'll see the video, massive crowd of people in Wuhan having a pool party at the epicenter of this COVID virus. So if these health officials are so right, then shouldn't China, an extremely authoritarian regime who was very heavy-handed on the lockdown in the beginning, literally martial law to their people overnight, all of a sudden just allowing them to just have rampant pool parties? Like, I don't think so. Obviously, if it happened, it was allowed to happen, or the communists would have went in there and shut it down. So what's that tell me? They obviously are not too worried about the disease anymore. So what happened? Why now is Wuhan allowed to just have pool parties? And one more thing before he plays that video is, I'll also remind everyone, you remember when everything was going down in the beginning, you would see these stories of people in Wuhan, China, passing out on the street. And I would ask people, how many people in the West have passed out from COVID? You don't see those videos happening in the West. Was that just a propaganda technique being pushed at the time to make it seem more dangerous than it was? Was that all just acting when they were all feigning and falling over from COVID? Now we'll go ahead and play the COVID pool party now, because it's just a big joke now.
Okay. Come on, baby.
Well, there you go. Wow, look at that social distancing at the epicenter. You could probably end it. I mean, people get the point. It's disgraceful, right? Like, how is this happening right now under authoritarian communist regime that is so heavy-handed, and they're just over there? It's almost like they're dancing and partying, basically saying like, "Yay, our fake disease worked, and we got to take down America." Because think about it. I said this in a previous podcast. You got you got China, who's the #2 superpower in the world, and who's foaming at the mouth to get that first place. And they know they can't you roll up on shores and just militarily take on America. That would never work. So what do they use? They use dirty tactics. Infiltrate the country. Use the Communist Manifesto playbook, what you're seeing rolled out with the Black Lives Matter, the race riots, and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the virus worked out very well because, the economy in America and all the Western nations took a massive hit and they all shut down and the GDP went down and all that. And China just crept that much closer to getting up there to America's first place. So, at the end of this pandemic, China come out very well where everyone else come out pretty bad. And that's why Trump is going on saying China has to pay for this, because the amount of damage that they caused at the end of this. They can't come out of this doing better than anyone else. Where would that make sense?
I'm just going to show one